Hello, beautiful soul. Welcome back to the Free, Happy, and Abundant podcast with Stephanie Yael. So, guys, today I want to talk about the definition of success, what that means, and how you can overcome some limitations around that. Okay, so success is not something that somebody else should define for you, okay? Because your personal success might look very different to somebody else's success or to what society labels as success. And the common trap can be to fall into a trap to believe that whatever you're doing is not successful because it doesn't match with the framework of society's definition of success. And I think we all have been there. And the worst thing that happens is that it holds you back because it puts you in an emotional state of failure, of not being good enough. And from there, it's really hard to actually move forward. So I think a very important thing to understand again is that success, no one can define success for you. No one can hand success to you, and no one can label whatever you're doing or not doing as successful or unsuccessful. But it happens a lot. I get that. You might be thinking, well, but, and yeah, I hear you on this. So what you can do to not give your power away to other people, society, or whatever it is that you're giving your power away to label whatever you're doing as successful or not, is to reframe the mindset and the emotions around success. So a common theme is that we measure success in quote unquote financial results. So often you might get trapped in the feeling that you're not successful because you haven't made the money with whatever you want to be successful in. And that's such a common programming that runs in all of us that we think we're only successful when we have the money to show it. And you see it everywhere, right? People don't take businesses seriously until they make money. People don't take somebody's work seriously until they make money or are famous. But you need to understand, to get to the point where you are making money with whatever you're doing, you need to get rid of the belief that you need to make money in order to be successful, in order to feel successful, okay? You feel successful and then you become successful because you're not giving your power away to something outside of you that defines your success. So how can you reframe these common misbeliefs around success? How can you free yourself from this collective web of this is what it looks like to be successful, okay? And this is not just about business. You can apply this in every area of your life: relationships, motherhood, business, of course, whatever area, like studies, whatever area you're actually working on and you feel like you're not good enough, you have to reframe your mindset and your emotions around that. So to give you an example, in my case, for me, the money thing, that money has to be reflecting my success, that was a really big trap I've fallen into. This beliefs and emotions that I'm only successful when the money starts reflecting it back to me, instead of I am already successful and that's how the money is actually going to come in because I feel successful, so I act successful, so I actually keep going even when it's hard. So, but for me, it was like I was stuck on this collective program that I am only successful when the money shows it. So when money starts coming in. And again, you can apply this to anything else. Whatever you are taking as a measure for your own success, whatever you think you have to take is probably more accurate. And in my case, again, of course, I would attract people that would just reaffirm this wrong belief. That would create scenarios like me feeling judged because people would be like, oh, are you making money with this? Not yet. Oh, okay. Almost like, well, then what is this? Whatever you're doing, right? So reaffirming the belief I held by attracting people that would actually judge me based on that kind of measurement of success. And of course, that would crush me every time and almost put me back to zero, right? Back to the beginning. It's like, well, like every time this came up, I started doubting again and I wouldn't move forward. So that's a very common trap you can fall into when you believe that you need external validation first before you can actually be whatever you want to be. And it's not only all these societal ideas and almost like dictations of what it means to be successful or what you need to achieve in order to be labeled as successful. There's also a lot of ancestral programming going on that's running in our DNA that we're not always consciously aware of. I mean, think about it. Our grandparents, they have probably still either lived through or definitely felt the aftermath of the Second World War, where things were restricted, where it was so much more of a survival mode than it is now. I mean, we're still in survival mode, but we're coming out of it collectively. So what's going on is that we're clearing these programs, and back in the day, it was so much more. I'm not saying it's not important to make money. Of course it is. You have to pay your bills and all this stuff. But back in the days, it was much more about surviving than now. Now we're moving into an age where we can be more creative, where healing is much more prevalent, where finding yourself and becoming yourself again is so much more, accepted. All the mindfulness, all the like movement. We've come a long way collectively in the last 120 years, but the energy of our ancestors still runs through us. And what I'm trying to say is that there is still this energetic blueprint in us that when you work for something really hard and it doesn't pay off immediately, it's not worth putting in more effort. Because again, back in the day, it was much more about survival than about personal fulfillment. So your mind will always come up with this, or other people that aren't on the same level of consciousness as you are will always come up with, well, haven't you like worked on this for so long and it's not like, it's not paying off in whatever you're doing. It doesn't have to be literally monetary payoff. But we're so programmed to this unhelpful belief that if it's not paying off in whatever way that payoff should look like, it's not worth putting in more effort. Because you need to survive, so you need to have fast results. Whereas we all know that for the long run, to flip your script, to change your reality completely, to come out of something, to master something that you've had trouble with, it's not a quick fix. It takes work. And it takes work, the work of reframing your beliefs and clearing your emotions around that. So on your way to personal success, you're most likely being confronted with either internal beliefs or external judgment of, well, if your hard labor isn't showing any fruits, is it worth anything? Because if it was, you would see some results, right? But then again, times are changing. Things are changing at the deeper level. That's how this whole collective consciousness is changing in the first place. That's why it takes a little bit longer. And that's why you need to start looking at things differently. So being met with all this opposition internally and externally made me doubt my path a lot. Even though I knew that I was really successful already at what I was doing. Although I was making progress, I was making huge progress internally and with my self-esteem. The only thing that was missing was stepping into this knowingness that, yes, it will cultivate in the inside first, and then it will show. But as I say, I was so caught up in this, if I was good enough, I would have more money coming in, and people reaffirming this by reacting in these ways and being dismissive of my work just because it wasn't paying off yet was really detrimental to me. So that's when it hit me that I couldn't continue measure my own success based on what other people or society told me that my own success has to look like, because the key here is to step into the energy of success before you see it in the outside. And what I did to reframe this and to clear the emotions around this was to make my own list of what it means to be successful to me. So what does a successful day look like to you? And that's where I'm saying you can apply this to anything. What does a successful relationship look like to you? Because if you're being single and you're happy, and somebody else is in a relationship but they're deeply unhappy, or not even unhappy, they're just in a mediocre relationship, but they're like, well, at least I'm in a relationship and you're not. Like, who is more successful? The one who is in a miserable relationship or the one who's actually happy being single? You know? But there's still this unconscious programming running that, especially as a woman, you can only be happy when you're with somebody. I'm not saying that you're not happy and that you should be always single, and I'm not a feminist and like blah, all this stuff. I'm just saying we need to get rid of these parameters that are so outdated and that actually keep us stuck in a golden cage. So what I did to understand how successful I already am is to map out a day that feels really successful to me. Not what other people are telling me what success looks like, what a good day looks like. I had to sit down and ask myself, what does a good, successful day look like to Stephanie? For me, it's when I can wake up without a freaking alarm clock, when I have the freedom to plan my day as I want to, when I have helped somebody to move on from a difficult topic or whatever, to break through a limitation, when I had fun, when I did something that made me really happy, when I have had healthy food, when I managed to cook for myself, all this stuff. That might look very basic to other people and they're like, what? You're having like, this is your definition of success? Yeah. You know what? Because for me, freedom is one of the most important values. And having the freedom to create my day in a way that I want and self-reflect and move forward, as long as I feel like I woke up this morning and I just tackled the day in a very joyful and easy way, light-hearted way, and I go to bed in the evening and I'm like, wow, I've learned so much about myself again. I have done what brought me joy. I have had the freedom to change my plans midday because I didn't feel like it anymore. Or even if I was like, you know what, now I want to take a nap and it wasn't on my plan. You know, this is the kind of success I'm talking about. When you feel good, when you go to bed with whatever you did, that's your definition of success. But what would regularly bring me down was these thoughts of, but I didn't make money. Oh, I didn't sell. I didn't post on Instagram. I didn't. So this good feeling that I just had was crashed and overwritten by all this collective bullshit that dictated to me how success looks like. And obviously, then your energy crashes, your mindset crashes, you start thinking about how you didn't do what you should have done. Who is telling you you should have done this? It's not you, because 2 seconds ago you were just happy with how you lived your day, right? And then, of course, you go to bed with a bad feeling because now everything that society has conditioned into you is coming up and you're like, oh shit, maybe I just wasted a day. Okay, tomorrow I'm going to do something to actually make these thoughts, these programs that are running around, happy. But I also urge you to start noticing when you're doing things for yourself and when you're doing things for somebody else or for another energy. When are you serving a thought that isn't serving you? And to come to an early close actually with this podcast, usually they're a bit longer, but it feels like this has been enough of a transmission already. To come to a close here, the most important thing about success is that you become clear on what success means for you. and that you define this and go really deep. Don't just like sit down and think about it and, the first thing that comes to mind might be something that you've picked up that isn't yours. So really sit with it, drop into your heart and ask yourself, does that really make me happy? And then a lot of programmed stuff will come in and already try to derail you from defining this point as a point of success for you. For example, for me it was, having the liberty to create my day as I wish. As soon as I thought that, or as soon as I felt that, because it's more like a feeling, as soon as I felt that, the thought came in, but you're not making money with that. So what, all this like thoughts that aren't helpful. So be very mindful when you do this. And also you can double check, you don't even have to sit down and do this. You can also just be more mindful during the day, what really brings you joy and happiness, and then write that down, It also goes this way. You can just make a list from experience, from things you experience. So you can set the intention to be more mindful of what actually made you happy and made you feel like, what made you feel good, okay? Success is actually feeling good. So what made you feel good during the day, and put it on your success list and start measuring your own success against what you have defined as success. So I hope this helps. I have an article on my website that goes a little bit deeper into this whole topic and also gives you some journal prompts and ideas as to how you can reframe, or questions you can ask yourself when these self-sabotaging thoughts come in. And I will link to the article in the description below, and I hope to see you again in my next podcast episode. Until then, I'm sending you so much love. Speak soon. Bye bye.